Hey, everybody, welcome. I am here with Eddie Levine. I am working on a short little story here on the discounts that Amazon's offering 50 to 75% off of storage fee discounts. We've seen these storage fees over the last 2 years increase rather significantly. And sellers are now given an opportunity to save on these fees. So, Eddie, you do a lot with logistics and shipping and playing with these fees. What is Amazon, why are they doing this? Why is Amazon doing this? And what do we think it really means?
Well, I think the first thing that's important to know is that I put discounts in quotes because that's what they claim, not necessarily reality. But the reason they're doing this is I think, solely driven by the change in their Prime structure. As you know, they went from Prime 2-day to Prime 1-day recently, which if you've ordered a lot in that time frame, you probably have noticed that it hasn't been going too well. There's been a lot of hiccups in it. But basically, if you look at it from a logistics side, to move products more than one time or repeatedly is a lot more expensive than just having to move them once or possibly twice. So they're trying to spread out product as quickly and efficiently as possible.
All right. So, Amazon promised this 1-day Prime. They've got to get more of my inventory, your inventory into their main distribution warehouses so that it's within 1 day of all of these people. And it sounds like this discount is kind of their way of encouraging all sellers to put more inventory into Amazon by offering a discount. Now, you said discount and you air quoted, and I know we went into this in really a lot of detail for the article that's written below. But my question to you is why are you air quoting discounts? Is it a deal? Is it not a deal? What are the pitfalls I should be aware of?
Too long for this video, put it that way. But let's just put it this way: if you see an advertisement on the TV or on print or whatever, and it looks too good to be true, that's kind of the same thing we're talking about. There's a lot of fine print here. There's discounts, yes, but there's a lot of criteria you have to meet as described in the email. So if you don't meet that criteria and there's no real easy way to track it, then you could automatically be taken out from this program and lose those discounts. So if that happens, then you potentially have a lot more stock at the Amazon fulfillment centers that you want, and you're paying actually a premium to have all that stuff stored there.
Okay, so Amazon is saying that you have to go to download this report at the end of every month. From the report, they're going to give you a minimum quantity level and a maximum quantity level that you can have to still be eligible for this discounted fee. And if you don't stay within that, then you don't get the discounted fee. And so where you're saying that it's potentially not a discount is that you go to stock and then your velocity slows down. And then when your velocity slows down, all of a sudden you have more inventory and you become ineligible in the future for this discount. And therefore you end up having more inventory at Amazon than you had planned. And therefore you end up paying the full price. But there's no penalty, right? Like right now, there's no penalty for shipping these products into Amazon. There's just a reward if you're able to figure it out and do it correctly.
There's no penalty, but I mean, keep in mind that, they're offering 50 to 70% off. But if you look at it from the perspective that you have to potentially send in 2 or 3 times more than you normally would, if they give you the discount and you have 2 or 3 times more products in the warehouse, are you really saving anything? That's what we have to look at.
Yeah, and I think that one of the other things you and I chatted about when we were working on this article was the idea that they're really looking for like a 60-day turn. And so if your inventory that you're shipping into Amazon right now is maybe based off of a 90-day term, then you need to be looking at bringing more inventory into the States, storing it at a third-party logistics facility, shipping it into Amazon on a more regular basis. We looked at it for one particular product, right? And we know that looking at it for one ASIN doesn't really necessarily represent the trend for all. But we looked at it for one ASIN. The ASIN was selling around 200 units a month based off of the current sales velocity, based off of the current report from Amazon. It was saying that you needed just under 300 units to qualify. So based off of that, it was only a month and a half worth of inventory, which means that this current algorithm isn't taking in increases that may be coming from your sales, seasonality that may be coming from your sales, or other things that could be impacting your business.
sellers need to basically understand three things. One, the majority of sellers, they do not plan inventory and restocking well. They don't understand the reporting aspect. They don't understand the velocity of change. That's number one. Number two, your supplier lead time, like you mentioned. Especially if you're importing overseas, that can be extremely, weeks or if not months, depending on your production time. And then number three, you have to account for how your velocity is going to change when you go to sell the products online. If you're doing, giveaways, if you're doing, a launch, or if it's a new product that you're just not trying to build momentum on and you don't know where it's going to go. I mean, that can all change, and your amount that you have on stock can change faster than you can predict and stuff.
All right, so let's talk about path forward. What are the recommendations that, you do a lot of logistic, consulting for people in addition to running your own business. What are you telling people about this? How are you kind of looking at the path forward? Let's start with today, like over the next 3 to 6 months. And then like, what are the predictions for the future? What do we think that this is telling us is going to happen in the long run?
Okay, so from today, I'll just tell you what I did because I got the same email that you did. So I looked at the email, I saw all those requirements and all the work that has to go into basically reporting for it and making sure you keep track of it. And there's not enough incentive for me to do it. So I kind of put it in my delete folder and knew about it. I understood it, but I said to myself, well, I'll come back to it later. I think in the future, though, it's going to become more and more important for sellers to understand about this program and how it works and how Amazon needs to ship stock, that they have an FBA. While it's not a current requirement right now for you to understand this process and take part in it, nor are you
Penalized.
Penalized, thank you.
Yeah.
For not taking part of this program. I think that if you look towards 2020, which is, I know you and I talked about this the other day, I think one of my predictions for 2020 is that will change and Amazon will start charging for storage and assessing sellers different fees based on their replenishment styles.
Yeah, I mean, listen, one of the things that if we look at, like, you study history to understand what happened in the past and to predict what's going to happen in the future. And if we look at the fees that Amazon has assessed, long-term storage fees, regular storage fees, increasing in storage fees during the holiday Q4 time period, Amazon has used those fees to curb the behavior of sellers. And so I completely agree with you. Amazon is going to use this fee structure and other fee structures that they probably haven't even conceptualized yet. They're going to use these to really start to drive inventory and logistics in what best suits their business.
Keep in mind.
Something you really have to keep in mind.
Yeah, keep in mind two things though. You brought up Q4. I mean, that's another wrench in the pie here when you talk about logistics, because if you're going to be sending during Q4, depending on how you're shipping products in, it could take weeks to receive inventory. That can throw your numbers off and your scheduling off completely. And then, number two, with regards to, participating in the product, participating in the program, look at something like IPI scores, right? That was a newish release in the US. And then I just forwarded you an email this week about how that was now starting in Europe. So they do this in phases and they do this by territory. So if it starts somewhere, it's coming for everywhere.
Yeah, and if you want a tip about how to get your inventory into Amazon faster, Eddie dropped it at Seller Labs Resonate conference, so I'm not going to drop it in this video, but I'll say that
we'll just give a hint that for Q4, get it in and receiving within 24 hours.
Yeah. So, and we'll share that information later in another video. But thanks, Eddie, for coming on, talking about this. I think it's important for sellers to understand that when things change at Amazon, you have to understand how it affects your business today and how it will potentially affect your business in the future. And I think that the suggestion right now is to collect data, collect information. Don't necessarily go and change your process and see how that affects your process, but understand that what is today a bonus for taking advantage of it may become a penalty in the future. So it's something that you can't completely ignore. Thanks for being on here today.
Collect data, but be willing to adapt to change in the future.
Great. Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you.